Blank check with Griffin and David. Blank check with Griffin and David. Don't know what to say or to expect. All you need to know is that the name of the show is Blank Check.
You think I'm a hero? I'm not a hero. I'm a drifter with nothing to lose. Now, you killed that girl to put me in a frame. I mean to beat you to death and drink your blood from a boot. Now, this is how it's going to work. You're going to give me the address, and I'll be along when I'm damn good and ready. She doesn't answer the phone when I call this number. If I even think you've heard her, I disappear. And if you're smart, that scares you because I'm in your blind spot, and I have nothing better to podcast.
Nothing better to podcast.
Hello, everybody. My name is Griffin Newman.
My name is David Sim.
This is a podcast called Blank Check with Griffin and
I don't know
David.
what this is that you're doing. What's this?
We are hashtag the two friends.
Yes.
We're two friends. We host a podcast together. What's the premise of this podcast? We like looking at careers. Some people look at the micro. We look at the macro, baby. We like charting.
Yeah.
And this weird conundrum. What happens when you're in Hollywood? You got some heat. You got some power. You know,
Sure.
you're no longer begging for scraps. You have the ability to make things happen.
What's happening right now?
You get a blank check.
Sure.
Sometimes that check bounces. Sometimes it clears, baby.
Okay.
We mostly do miniseries.
But once in a while,
We do a one-off.
something sparks our interest.
Right. And there's a combination of factors. You know?
Yeah.
A movie comes out that we just can't help but talk about.
Okay. Yeah. Right. We see the movie and we're like, ah.
And you and I just feel like this ties together to some themes that we've been talking about in other episodes. We got to fucking talk about this movie.
Right.
Part two is we've been told that our ratings are good when we do one-offs about films currently in theaters because they're easier to see.
People like to see movies that are in theaters
We
rather
don't-
than unavailable
Right.
on all streaming platforms or even on Blu-ray and DVD like The Abyss.
Subtweet the Abyss. We don't try to abuse that, but it's, you know, we try to mix it up a little bit, try to throw one of these in every once in a while, right?
Yeah.
And part three is sometimes we have scheduling issues and we have a hard time lucking out the guests we want for the episode on the right day because everyone's schedules are crazy and we don't want to go a week without doing an episode.
Of course.
So that means today we're here to talk about a very important movie.
I feel like we were always going to do this. I tweeted at you months ago saying we got to do this.
Well, I had told you years ago that this movie should be seen.
And I was like, I don't know, man. And then I got around to it.
Then you tweeted me, you were like, why didn't you tell me to see this movie? This is my favorite movie of all time.
It's the best movie ever made.
Yeah,
so.
I agree. I've been telling you that for fucking years.
Well, I got around to it.
So you finally got around to it on the eve of its sequel.
Yeah, probably. I watched it, a couple months ago. Yeah,
And
I can't
you and
remember
I,
exactly.
I think like a month or two ago.
Yeah.
And we were like, we should do something for this franchise, especially after seeing the second one.
Mm-hmm.
You and I went to an advanced screening of the second one.
We did. We haven't said the name yet.
No. And,
People will know because it's a podcast and it's
Right.
in the title of the episode they downloaded.
the day we're recording this episode, the movie's coming out.
Yes, it comes out this evening, I guess. Yes, it comes out right now. Yeah.
This will drop on the Monday
Yeah.
after when we know the box office results.
Yeah, it'll make $25 million.
I think it'll make less. I think it'll make 17.
Yeah,
First one only opened to 15.
Right, but
But it had a
was
5.2 multiple.
It was a
'cause it opened
very
that
nice
Christmas corridor.
Yeah, and it was a nice little word of mouth, a dad movie.
Yeah, it ended up at 80 domestic, and I think like 250 worldwide. Not huge numbers. Not
Fine.
something that would automatically lead to a sequel.
Fine.
But I think an interesting phenomenon here is that the star of this franchise really wants to make it a franchise.
I guess so. I think, and we were talking about this, and I'm sure we will talk about this.
Yeah.
He sees longevity in this for him.
Oh, we're going to talk about
Yeah.
this. But the story, the narrative we're telling in this very special one-off episode is how Tom keeps trying to make Reach happen. Ladies and gentlemen, enough suspense.
Yep.
You've already read the title of the episode.
Yep.
You, of course, now are listening to
We don't actually.
Jack Reachcast,
Okay, there we go.
Never Pod Home. Never Pod Back. Never Go Pod.
We're gonna have to figure that. I was about to say we actually didn't talk about what the title of the episode.
Jack
is.
Reachcast : We agree on that?
Jack Reachcast : Never Pod Back.
Never Pod Back.
Never Pod Back.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what we should do.
Jack Reachcast : Never Pod Back.
Great. So we swapped pod and cast. We inverted them.
Sometimes you gotta.
Sometimes you got to invert, and that's what we're doing today. We're inverting the format of our show. I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah.
Here we are. We're talking about Jack Reacher and Jack Reacher Never Go Back. We're going to talk about the series of Jack Reacher. We might spoil Jack Reacher Never Go Back a little bit.
But look, you've had a whole weekend to see.
So if you got to get to Jack Reacher Never Go Back, please do that and then listen to this podcast.
Yeah.
But we'll mostly be talking about Reacher 1. I don't know. We'll talk about it all. We're going to talk about it all.
No, this overlaps with some, themes that have been going on recently in the podcast. In our Cameron Crowe miniseries, we talked about old TC a lot.
TC-14?
Tom Cruise 14.
Yeah, we've talked about Tommy Cruise. We like Tommy Cruise
right.
as a fascinating case study in our blank check sort of oeuvre.
Right.
Yeah.
And he is kind of a blank check actor.
Absolutely.
Because
it's a Tom Cruise production,
right.
as it announced.
And he's kind of an auteur of all his movies because his persona is so big,
and so under his control.
He hires the directors.
Yes.
He very much manages his brand
this has
and
been
his narrative
true
and all of this.
For 20 years now. Mission Impossible, which was the first Cruise Wagner production. Now
right.
it's just Tom Cruise production. That was the first time he was sort of overseeing everything, and that's just been the norm for him ever since.
And the key thing is between, Top Gun.
Sure.
Which is the thing that elevated him to A-list.
Made him a big superstar. Yeah.
Right, like Risky Business made him a star.
Sure, but
Top Gun made him a superstar.
Thumbs up. Yeah.
And now he's got the blank check.
Mm-hmm.
He, between that film and...
take a look at his little...
And Mission Impossible, I would argue, with a very few exceptions, went about trying to work with all the best living American directors.
Color of Money, Scorsese. Who directed Cocktail? I don't know. Cocktail doesn't
Cocktail's the exception. I said with very few
Rain Man, Barry Levinson. Born on the 4th of July, Oliver Stone. Days of Thunder, that doesn't count. Who directed Days of Thunder?
Tony Scott. He brought it back home.
Tony Scott. Yeah, that's fine, right. Far and Away, Ron Howard. Few Good Men, Rob Reiner.
Right.
The Firm is...
Sidney Pollack?
Pollack, exactly. Interview with the Vampire, Neil Jordan. He's making a lot of Oscar plays.
Yeah.
He's making a lot of serious movies.
But these are a lot of
He's tossing in a couple fun ones for the for the fans.
These are heavy hitters of the 80s and 90s, and he's sort of going through them and trying to, I think, figure out. And he's working with also other huge movie stars. He's working with Paul Newman. He's working with Dustin Hoffman. He's working with Jack Nicholson.
Often, almost always, kind of almost playing a supporting role to them in terms of
which is interesting.
He's often taking the less interesting role, doing a decent job.
He's kind of being the straight
but,
man or the kid or the protege.
Kid,
yeah.
I mean, apart from Born on the 4th of July, which is a real, sort of bravura, give me an Oscar, pay attention to me performance.
And is both his first Oscar nomination and, at the time, the youngest person ever to be nominated for Best Actor at the Oscars.
Is that true?
Yeah, which is crazy. That seems insane, but it's 100% true.
How old was he?
29?
Yeah. They do favor, they go older with the actors than they do with the actresses. But now, Eddie Redmayne won, he was 27 or something.
No, he's not. Eddie Redmayne's older than you think he is. He's 33.
I thought he was the youngest winner ever when he won.
No, it's still Adrian Brody, who was 29 when he won.
Oh, yeah. Fair enough. Okay.
Eddie Redmayne was 33 when he won.
Eddie Redmayne 32, I think. Yeah.
He's still... Right, which means he's now 34.
Yeah.
But he seems like he's 12.
Right. Okay.
Whereas for Best Actress, it's Fontaine Wallace, who was 6 when they shot
nominee. Right. But, anyway,
I'm saying Tom Cruise was the youngest nominee ever, and he was 29. There's a big difference between Best Actor and Best Actor.
Oh, sure. I need to look this up because you're confusing me. And I mean, because I'm interested.
Throwing out too many stats. Who cares?
You are. You're throwing out a lot.
Okay. It's early. We don't usually record this early. But Tom Cruise, the narrative of Tom Cruise, we've been talking about a lot, right? And I think this Jack Reacher franchise, this budding franchise, is very emblematic of the sort of weird space he's in right now. The sort of crossroads he's at in his career. The other thing this overlaps with is, we talked a lot about in our Bender Siege 2 Dark Podcast episode, that it was representative of a movie that kind of doesn't really exist anymore. And especially not at that level. And the equivalent is the Jason Statham movies, which are a lot cheaper,
You're way off in the stat. I don't know where you got this stat from, but it's not true. It's not true.
How old was Tom Cruise?
Oh, I don't know, but he doesn't even make the top 10 of youngest nominees.
At the time?
Yeah, at the time. I mean, there's a couple newer entries in here. Maybe he'd make the top 10.
Who's the youngest of all time?
Jackie Cooper for Skippy in 1930. He was 9 years old.
So where did I hear this fucking stat?
I have no idea. Mickey Rooney got 2 nominations when he was a teenager. John Travolta, 24 years old for Saturday Night Fever, is your youngest, kind of non-old-fashioned Oscar nominee. James Dean got 2 nominations before he died. Ryan Gosling, Orson Welles for Citizen Kane was only 26 years old. Heath Ledger was only 26 years old.
So this is insane.
I'm sorry, that was me. I said that too.
Oh, yeah, Ben told me.
Wait
a second.
Just for a second. Heath Ledger was only 26 when he made Brokeback Mountain. That's crazy.
Fuck that.
It sucks that he's dead.
Yeah,
Okay.
that guy was a great actor.
I don't know where you got that from, but when
tell
you
you who I
said
got
it,
it
it just tripped like a huge
I'll
red
tell you
flag
who I
for-
got it from. I got it from our fucking producer.
Oh, do you want to introduce him?
Producer Ben?
Yeah.
The Ben Deucer?
That's the men.
Producer Ben?
The men.
The Poet Laureate? The Haas?
Mm.
Mr. Positive? Mr. Positive?
Wow, okay.
Birthday Benny?
Sure.
The Tiebreaker? The Fuckmaster? Hello Fennel?
Yeah.
Our finest film critic? White Hot Benny?
God, you're yelling a lot.
What was the one we came up with last week? Soaking Wet Benny? Drip Ben?
I don't remember. Look, if it doesn't, it's been a couple weeks since we recorded. If it doesn't like catch in our brains, and the fans don't tweet it at us a lot, I feel like it hasn't survived Darwinism, right? Like it just didn't make it.
I agree.
Something like Wet Ben.
We can't
Yeah.
make these catchphrases.
Dripping Wet
These
Ben.
nicknames
Yeah.
happen. Like they were all organically created.
Oh, but here's one we came up with on our Terminator 2 episode that has stuck. Dirt Bike Benny.
Oh God.
That is pretty good.
I'm
I mean,
okay with that.
I feel like we didn't delve into it in the Terminator 2 episode enough, just how obviously Ben was young John Connor
And
in
still
the
kind of
90s. And still
is.
kind of is. But like, it's, dirt bike, listening to Public Enemy. What else were you doing? You were swiping candy bars from the, Wawa. I don't know, Ben. Come on.
Yeah.
Shoplifting. I had a slingshot. Cool stuff.
Yeah, he was a mix between Bart Simpson and John Connor.
Yeah, well, John Connor and Bart Simpson, they're inextricably
Right.
linked.
I looked up to both of them, so
Ben, what did you do with your slingshot? Why would you have a slingshot?
He'd shoot Butterfingers BBs at people.
yeah. No, it's not good.
Oh, no.
Really?
Oh, what did you do? Did you, shoot at cars, on the highway or something?
Yeah, I mean, we would shoot rocks onto the highway,
God.
and we would shoot rocks at each other sometimes to just have fun.
Oh,
Yeah,
my God.
pretty dangerous stuff. I'm still here though, baby.
You're still here. That is
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
Here's what's not true. You are not Professor Crispy.
Never.
And people keep on saying, God, it's tough because the audio is so crisp. And I go, don't. And then last week, we did our crazy fucking time jump head fuck.
Oh, yeah, we did our performance, you mean, for The Abyss? Or no, wait, what are you talking about?
Yeah, no, for Terminator 2, where we acted like...
Oh, yeah, right.
Oh, no, it was for The Abyss. We
Yes.
acted like we hadn't already.
Well,
Well, I'm going to save the nickname. But people said, God, Ben's performance was so crisp in that. And it was like, don't even...
okay, fine.
Don't!
But, yeah, then he had... Jesus, this
He's
is
graduated to
so
certain
long.
titles over the series. Miniseries. Producer Ben Kenobi. Kylo Ben.
Yeah.
Ben Sate.
Ben
Ben
Night
Night
Shyamalan.
Shyamalan. He is Say Benny.
Say Benny thing.
I like it. A
Democracy reversed. Rigged.
And we don't have
Rigged.
to act now.
But yeah, in The Abyss, we pretended we hadn't reversed it yet because
Right.
it had to come before. Anyway,
Right.
listen back through our wonderful archive if you like any of this bullshit we're doing. I can't imagine why.
Everyone loves it.
Jack... oh, I already forgot. Jack Castor?
Jack Reachcast.
Jack Reachcast.
Never pod back.
Here we are. We're going to talk about these movies that I feel like even to this day are, especially the first one, is just kind of largely dismissed, right? It has its fans.
Yeah, it's the equivalent
It has
of
its vocal
an
fans.
Under Siege movie in that it was a studio $60 million big A-list star.
It was just more unusual because it
Pulpy.
came in 2012 when
Right.
there's just less of those around, especially starring people like Tom Cruise.
And everyone at the time was like, what the fuck is this movie? Like, this feels like... Because Tom Cruise, when he picks a movie, it always sort of feels like an event, right? Whether it's good or bad, he makes these strategic, choices where it's like, you're going to get an annual Tom Cruise movie and it's going to mean something. And Jack Reacher kind of felt like a toss-off on its face.
Right.
It was like, it was just Tom Cruise with a leather jacket in a car? What is this movie?
And I remember there were, my friend Alan Sepinwall,
Mhm.
who's a TV critic for HitFix, the great Alan Sepinwall, loves the Jack Reacher books, right? Uh-huh. Yeah, go ahead, open your bagel, you bastard.
Wait, you mean this bagel?
Yeah.
You mean the bagel deucer? Producer bagel?
no.
Producer bagel?
All right, stop. Jack Reacher.
Graduate to certain titles.
And I heard this
Kylo
not
Bagel.
to... Can you stop?
Say bagel
I
thing.
hate you.
Dirt bike bagel. Go on.
I heard it from him, and I think I heard it from a couple other fans of the books, Tom Cruise, he's all wrong for Jack Reacher. Jack
100%.
Reacher's supposed to be like 6'5", like this kind of hulking guy. Like he's supposed to be huge and really imposing.
He's supposed to be a physical threat. Like if you saw him, you would be scared.
Exactly.
And the shadow sort of like, precedes him.
And I remember the trailer for Jack Reacher dropped, and it's just that scene in the first movie where he's about to fight all the guys, and he's like, just to be clear, you wanted this,
Right.
And it's one of those, it's kind of like a Taken, or, I mean, we should talk about that. This is in sort of that broad genre of like, don't fuck with him movies, right? But I mean, it just seems so silly in the trailer. You're like, look, I get that Tom Cruise is an action star. I mean, but come on, like, they're not going to be scared of Tom Cruise.
Right.
Like, this is silly.
Well, but to back up a little bit, there are 20 Jack Reacher books, right?
I think 21.
Really? I think
mean,
21 maybe just came out to coincide with the release of this.
Yeah, maybe let me.
There's a new one that just came out, I know.
I love the titles. Let me find the book series.
Yeah. But they're a series of, like, essentially like airport paperbacks.
21, which is called Night School, is coming out next month. So,
Okay.
yes, there have been 20. The last one was called Make Me.
Jack Reacher, make me.
Make Me.
They are essentially, though, like, they're like, airplane, like, beach read, kind of like dad novels.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Dads and
much
uncles and
like
grandpas,
James Patterson or,
Right.
Sue Grafton. The
Right.
kind of, they pump them out maybe once a year. It's at a once a year. Now it's at a twice a year pace almost.
Right.
No, it's about once a year.
But this is the character Lee Child has found.
Absolutely.
He's kind of like his Sherlock Holmes. It's as a guy
Sure.
you just want to place in different situations, in different cases, and he's got his sort of milieu and his world that he lives in.
Mm-hmm.
The physical presence is a big part of the books.
Yeah, one of the most oddest things about it is that Lee Child is a British author, and for
that is very odd.
some reason decided with this series. He's written other things. I think to like he wanted like this character to be American. He wanted him to be a former military policeman, and like he wanted to write about like the Midwest and the the sort of small town kind of vibe in the U.S. I don't know. So there's a weird sort of fetishization there.
Well, it also is weird that like most people don't even know how a military policeman works, and Lee Child's like, no, former military policeman.
Yeah, right.
Like he's working outside of
That's
jurisdiction.
what I love about these movies.
Me too.
So I mean, because I don't know how fucking. I mean, it's like
makes no sense. I was
if
trying to
a
explain
crime
to
is
someone.
committed within the environs of the U.S. Army, then sure, like the military cops investigate, and then there's like JAGs who are like military lawyers, and they go to like court martials and stuff. But like nobody, it doesn't matter. It's what's fun about it, right? Like
Yes.
he can kind of do whatever he wants probably, and we're just like, yeah, it's probably how military cops work, right? I don't know.
And both of these movies concern
And he can move
cases.
around.
Yes,
'cause there's
that's true.
military bases all over
Right.
America, right?
But both these movies concern cases where the people at the center of them are not on active duty. Like he doesn't solve cases of things that happen on the battlefield.
No,
It's like vets doing shit.
often. Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Lee Child, I guess
The
people-
U.S. Army Military Police Corps. That is what they are called.
I think people had tried to make Jack Reacher films for a little while, just because if something's that successful and it goes on for that long, there's always sort of interest.
Absolutely, and I mean we've seen it before, like the long-running James Patterson series where it was Morgan Freeman, and then the Alex Cross.
Don't cross
movies.
Alex Cross.
And then they tried to reboot it with Tyler Perry.
Don't cross Alex Cross.
But that didn't work.
Right.
I'm trying to think of other recent examples of this.
Well,
These detective novels often weirdly don't translate. It's odd. Like
yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's hard to make the characters as iconic as they are in the series.
Sure.
Because like the iconic part is sort of the structure and like the format of the books.
Yeah.
And the characters is able to, they sort of.
This works better in TV, right?
Yes,
like
100%.
that's right, they're procedural. Yes,
Right.
that's what you're saying, and
Right.
you're right.
Because there's a repetitive nature to it.
Absolutely.
Tom Cruise takes a liking and is like, I want to do Jack Reacher. That's my new franchise.
And
that's my new franchise.
That's how
style.
it works with Tom Cruise. Even in
Right.
his diminished stardom, which I would argue he's a little bit of a diminished star. He wants to make something. It's going to happen.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, like, as a counterpoint, Clive Cussler wrote Sahara, right?
He freaked out, right?
He sells the rights. They hire Matthew McConaughey. He sues the studio that makes Sahara
Yeah.
because he's like, this character's important to me. He's somewhat autobiographical.
Yeah,
find
wasn't
it
he literally
offensive.
like, how dare you cast Matthew McConaughey? Like, you're ruining my character.
Yes,
Like,
100%.
people won't buy the books now because of his stupid face.
Right.
That was when Matthew McConaughey was at his
He was
career
a
bottom.
joke.
Yeah.
Right. one would expect that Lee Child would have a similar response to Tom Cruise playing Jack Reacher because he's physically so different.
No.
Totally defended it.
Not
was
at all.
like,
Loved it. He's like,
said,
it doesn't matter that he's tall. Now he's short. Who cares?
Right.
Like, yeah. I mean,
but
I
he
don't think
also
said that.
yeah, but he said, because you can never use the S word with Tom Cruise. Right. But he sort of said, like, look, there are a lot of elements to the character. You know, a big part is the focus and just sort of like his precision, and that's a thing that Tom Cruise embodies really well.
Sure.
And he goes, the size thing is kind of irrelevant. When you're writing a book, you write whatever the fuck you want.
I mean, and he's not wrong.
Right.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing is he said, like, you know, there's no one who actually fits the physical specifications of what I described in the book that's not a real person.
Yeah, exactly.
I can name you 2 actors right off the top of my head. Like, logically, Jack Reacher would be Liam Neeson or Michael Shannon. Are both built like the Jack Reacher described in the books.
I guess so. Shannon, I guess. Yeah. Shannon actually might be incredible.
I think both of them would kill it.
But obviously, you know.
I think both of them would fucking kill it. I'm not saying TC doesn't kill it. I think he kills it too. But I'm saying there are 2 guys who are Academy Award nominated actors, one of whom is a well-established action star with his own franchise, who totally fits the specifications of what Jack Reacher is. Yeah. But they were like, nah, Tom wants to do it.
Yeah.
Right? Which is fascinating. Now, he makes this film, the first film in between Mission Impossible 4 and 5.
Yeah, that is Mission Impossible 4 had come out the previous year. 2012 is not a great year because Rock of Ages also comes out that year.
Yeah, he has a bad year.
That's the noise I made thinking about Rock of Ages.
He hadn't had a home run for a couple of years leading up to Ghost Protocol.
Ghost Protocol is a huge hit, but before then it was Night and Day and Valkyrie and Lions for Lambs, which were all relative versions of bombs. I think Night and Day did fine. You know, it didn't make enough money, but
it's like a single, a double,
worldwide.
A single and 2 doubles.
Valkyrie actually
did weirdly well.
It made $85 million for a movie nobody liked or saw, and that's where he meets Christopher McQuarrie.
Yes. Well, that's the key thing that happened there. But also, Valkyrie was the first Tom Cruise leading vehicle to not make $100 million in like 15 years, 20 years.
Yeah.
You know, so it like did pretty well, but it was still like, ooh, blooms off the rose a little bit.
Yeah.
Teams up with Christopher McQuarrie on that, who was, you know, a longtime collaborator.
Bryan Singer directed it.
Right.
Yes.
But that's like, he wanted to work with Bryan Singer.
Sure.
Bryan Singer's like, here's my guy who wrote Usual Suspects.
Well, and they had this like boner for the idea that he looked a lot like the real German commander who tried to kill Hitler. Like, they would, like, put these things online of, like, their face and profile.
It was like an anti-Jack Reacher situation.
Yeah, they were like, look at him. I mean, it's perfect. And I remember being hyped for that movie because it had such a good supporting cast. It was like Branagh, Tom Wilkinson, Bill Nye, like all these like fun British thesps, and Tom Cruise playing Nazis. But then the accents are all off. That movie is not good. And then, of course, you're watching it and you're like, oh, they're not going to kill Hitler because I know that because they didn't kill Hitler. And then you sort of realize, like, why am I watching this movie? This movie is not interesting enough for, you know.
I'm going to disagree with you on one point.
Shoot.
That movie is definitely BYOA. And that's bring your own accent. Everyone just talks the way they do.
Yeah.
Which is weird. The opening of the film is like Tom Cruise writing a letter in German, and you hear the voiceover in German, and then it like crossfades into him writing the letter in English, and they're like, oh, so now everyone just talks in English?
Yeah, it
like
pulls that trick.
The first 30 seconds of the movie are like, this is what they should be sounding like.
Right.
And now we're just going to let everyone talk the way they want to.
Whatever.
Whatever.
Yeah.
The one thing I want to disagree with you on is I do think there's a chunk of the movie where they think that they've killed Hitler.
Sure.
They don't realize that it didn't work.
Right.
And I think there's genuine tension in that section of the movie, even though you know how it ends.
I agree with you. I think it does an okay job.
There's like a 20-minute section of that movie that's kind of crackerjack to me.
But they probably shouldn't have made the movie.
No, it doesn't really matter.
Anyway, we're not. This is not Valkyr cast.
But McQuarrie's a big deal. He's a big turning point because then he like teams up with McQuarrie, and save for Night and Day, McQuarrie works on pretty much every movie he does from here on out.
Well, wait, no, he didn't work on
Rock of Ages.
Ghost Pro.
Yes, he did.
What did he do?
Uncredited.
Oh, okay.
Here's the thing: he becomes Tom Cruise's uncredited guy, who he brings in to work on every script.
Sure.
Okay. I think Night and Day was sort of shot concurrent, but maybe he worked on that. But I know Ghost Pro was the big thing because at the time when they hired Jeremy Renner, the whole idea was passing the torch.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Tom Cruise was kind of damaged goods. Paramount still wanted Mission Impossible to be a viable franchise,
right.
and so we're going to introduce another guy, and this franchise is going to pass the torch.
Right.
The script wasn't working.
Yeah.
They were under the gun to get it. He went, I like McQuarrie. We did Valkyrie together, brought him in. McQuarrie looked at the script and said, first of all, you can't get rid of Tom Cruise. He's this franchise,
right.
this and that. And Tom Cruise has said that he totally saved that film.
That's cool. I mean, Brad Bird. Let's not discount the great work of Brad Bird.
But he needed a script to work with.
Yeah, and the script for Ghost Protocol is some fun bullshit.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But then
Ghost Protocol is a wonderful movie. It's one of the best movies ever made.
McQuarrie, by his own account, was sort of in director jail.
Because of
Way of the Gun.
Way of the Gun, which costs like a weird amount of money, right?
Yeah. And he had been
that was a bad idea.
writing stuff, but like won an Oscar very young. Directed a movie that
For
bombed
writing
really
Usual
hard.
Suspects. Yep.
Right. And then, was sort of bouncing around and working on other stuff, but kind of like it felt like he was maybe a guy past his prime. Like he had his moment and it left.
It did feel that way. It
Right.
felt like he was a flash in the pan, kind of a Stephen Gaghan, like someone who was always going to stick around and polish scripts and make his money in Hollywood. But
it's like he's not going to have another Usual
Suspects,
and
whatever.
the director thing was a non-starter, right? And then Tom Cruise takes this liking to him. He works on Ghost Protocol. He apparently, saves the script, gives Brad Bird the meat to be able to turn into like a fine steak, right?
Sure.
He gives him the fine cut of beef,
I get
the
you.
slab of beef that Brad Bird massages and fucking grills, pepper crusts, right?
Uh-huh.
Puts a little hollandaise on top,
Uh-huh.
and then gives us a fork and knife, and we go, Ghost Protocol.
I would say he gave him some pulled pork, and Brad Bird somehow turned that into a beef steak. Like I think Brad Bird did, but it doesn't matter. Let's carry on.
Look, yeah,
No,
okay.
Let's carry on.
But then Cruise is like, you know what? Let's give McQuarrie another shot.
Yeah.
And he has the sway to go, Jack Reacher, it's sort of a low risk. It's a $60 million Tom Cruise franchise. That's a budget
That's right. Yes.
Tom Cruise movie.
Sure.
Let him direct it, right?
R-rated. Do what you want.
Yeah.
Here's your book, hit book, right?
Yeah.
Like work with that. McQuarrie writes it himself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the
Jack
movie
Reacher.
opens small, but multiplies well.
Opens
and does well enough overseas.
15 mil. We'll do the box office game.
Yeah.
And multiplies to 80, 218 worldwide. Fine.
Yep.
Not the kind of thing people are excited about at the time. And I think people are kind of just doing the like, why is he making, I feel like the same murmur about Tom Cruise's career, which is essentially he's good in the Mission Impossibles. Everything else is kind of by the wayside at this point, right?
Right.
It's still
That's his
ongoing.
franchise.
Yeah.
Right. But the big thing that comes of it is Cruise is impressed enough by the movie that he hires McQuarrie. He knocks him up to Mission Impossible,
Nation, yeah.
which at the time was also a weird move because here's this real director-driven franchise.
Yeah.
And here you're giving it to
I think
a guy.
everyone was baffled, but most people, including me, had not seen Jack Reacher.
Right. And I'd seen Jack Reacher and I was like, interesting.
Sure.
And then we've argued about this many times, thinks the Rogue Nation's the best of the 5 films.
I think Ghost Protocol's better, but I think Rogue Nation is fantastic.
Love it.
Love it. And I remember I saw it with no expectations. All the advertising was, he hangs off of a plane!
Which
like
is
that
the
was
opening of the
all they
movie.
wanted.
Yeah.
You to know was that he hung off of a plane.
Yeah.
He does hang off of a plane, and it's totally cool. There were like 5-minute commercials in front of your movies where they were like, he really hung off the plane, and then they cut to Tom Cruise and he's like, I sure did. And you're just like, I mean, I had this whole theory that I might have even talked about on the podcast at the time where they're like, they know, the marketing knows, the movie knows that Tom Cruise is crazy, or at least that people perceive Tom Cruise as being crazy. So why not just have him be crazy?
Own it.
Yeah, exactly. Totally own it in a cool way. But like everyone in Rogue Nation essentially is like, what the fuck is this guy?
Well,
He's
that's
crazy.
That's why I think Rogue Nation's the best one, because they contextualize Tom Cruise the best. And it's the one film where they finally make Ethan Hunt into a character.
Ghost Protocol's so good. Anyway.
I like Ghost Protocol a lot. I think
Ghost
Protocol is better set pieces. I think Rogue Nation's a better film. But now McQuarrie...
Some people like 3 best, which is weird.
I know.
Yeah.
But now McQuarrie's back, and now he's doing Mission Impossible 6,
And
which
3's
is...
good.
Yeah. He's doing Mission Impossible 6,
He
which
is
the
which
first
is
time
a
a
break
director's
from
carried over.
tradition, but
And they're carrying over Rebecca
I'll
Ferguson,
watch.
and now it's going to become a little more serialized. But he's
Yeah, but
clearly
I-
a guy who has options, who's back
I
as a
worry,
director.
because I feel like that's what they did with Quantum of Solace, where they were like, that was so good. We should continue the story right where we left it, right?
Right.
And I don't know, man. Like, surprise is a key element. For
And
these
here's what's
things.
crazy for me, too, is like, then they were like, okay, new thing, Skyfall. And then everyone loved Skyfall, and they were like, oh, let's do that again.
Yeah, I know. They made the exact same
Spectre
mistake.
was
Except
like,
they even made it bigger because they kept the director and everything.
I know.
Which made sense. It
Yeah.
did make sense to bring Mendes back. Skyfall was special. Like, it made sense. But it also didn't make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
But McQuarrie's like a power player now. I mean, I think everyone's
he is. He's a
recognized
big
that
deal.
McQuarrie is...
Now, they should have recognized it with Jack Reacher.
They should have.
because I'm like, you know what? I want to watch a fun little movie, and I never saw Jack Reacher, and I know some people like it, including Griffin Newman.
Love it.
And I like Tom Cruise. I do. I'm sorry. I love him. I've always loved Tom Cruise. I always will.
Yeah.
And I do. I know he does all kinds of bizarre shit, and I know he's involved with a religion, quote unquote religion that terrorizes people. It makes no sense.
Judaism.
You want to describe my reaction to that joke? Physical.
David did. It was almost like the Home Alone face, but the hands were higher up on the face.
Yeah, like my palms were on my eyes.
Yeah, it
And
was
I
like
sort
the
of-
monkey
I sort
doing
of
"See No Evil."
twisted back, and went into a corner. Anyway,
Pained grimace, dismayed in this padded room we're in. He looked like Rainfield from Dracula. We were recording in a padded cell, essentially.
we do. It's true. Jack Reacher begins with Jai Courtney. Uh-oh. I'm
no.
like, no.
No.
I don't like Jai Courtney. We've talked about him on this podcast multiple times. This big-headed fool. Handsome sack of potatoes.
It does feel like a classic rookie move.
Yeah.
To open your phone with Jai Courtney, you're like, fuck! They got Jai again! God damn it!
Now, I feel like it's 2012, so this is probably the start of Jai Courtney's, Hollywood career.
I think Good Day to Die Hard had come out that year, or it came out right after, maybe. You know what? I think it came out right after. I think Jack Reacher was
It came
December,
out the
and
next
Good Day
year,
to Die
yeah.
Hard came out February.
Yeah.
But this is what I remember.
It's his first movie. It's
Oh,
his
really?
first film
Okay.
apart from Stone Bros.
Yeah, what
He'd
the
been
fuck?
in one of the Spartacus
Yes.
shows. Yeah.
This is what I remember is when they announced they were doing a new Die Hard, and it was like John McClane and Son.
Right.
There was a studio shortlist of actors, and it was like 5 actors who were interesting ideas, and who the fuck is Jai Courtney?
Right.
Right?
James Badge Dale was on that list. Liam Hemsworth was on that one.
I mean, fuck that.
Yeah.
The guy I thought was really interesting, who I think would have been the choice, was Aaron Paul.
Yeah, he would have been fun. Yeah.
Because I think that
That movie was a piece of shit, though, and it's probably good that Aaron Paul wasn't even involved.
But I'm saying,
Anyway,
if you're going to try to do that, the whole point is don't pick a guy who's an action guy. That's what was cool about
we've
Bruce
sidetracked,
Willis.
but you're correct. Yes,
Right.
because the whole problem with A Good Day to Die Hard is he's beefier than Bruce Willis.
Right.
Like who the
Right. It should be Aaron Paul who's got a chip on his shoulder. Anyway. When they announced Jai Courtney, I was like, who the fuck is this guy? So I remember going to see
So you had him
Jack
in mind.
Reacher.
You're like, okay, this guy's going
his
to be in
name
the
comes
next
up in the
Die Hard
title,
movie.
and I was like, who the fuck is because even at the time it was like, this guy's got a dumb head.
He's got a dumb, stupid head.
He's got the dumbest head
Yeah,
I've
I
ever
think
seen.
he's 6th build. It's the best performance he's ever given. What do you
Yeah.
like him in?
Yeah.
What do you
Yeah. No,
what are you weighing it against? The Water Diviner?
The Wire Diviner, though.
That Diviner, though.
Yeah.
The
No.
podcast Diviner. That's the movie that Russell Crowe directed, right?
Yeah,
I haven't seen
our
it.
next main series, by the way, is Russell Crowe. And we're just
One-
doing The Water Diviner.
In and out.
Yeah.
Because I haven't seen Unbroken.
I've seen that he's not bad in it, but he's not good. He's like okay in it.
Yeah, so I've seen him in.
He's actively
Good
bad
Day
in
to Die Hard. I've
Terminator.
seen him in Terminator. I've seen him in
He's
Suicide
bad in Good
Squad.
Day.
And I
he's
saw
not.
The First Divergent. Did I? I think I did.
Oh, I haven't seen those.
Yeah.
I will say again, I think he would be good in a Suicide Squad that was good. I think he's kind of
He could be. I mean, whatever. Who knows?
entertaining in that movie.
He plays Charlie in this movie, who is an assassin.
Yeah.
He has a sniper rifle.
Yeah.
And he drives up to a parking garage, takes out his sniper rifle.
This is like a wordless first 5
and
minutes
in like
of the
a
film.
10. I mean, it's 5, I guess. It feels so long because it's all told through the lens of through his scope.
And let's talk about lensing, by the way. Caleb Deschanel,
Caleb D.
one of the greats.
Oh, I
A
love it when
fucking
we get the D.
Mac Daddy giving us the D, right?
Caleb Deschanel, great cinematographer. He shot The Right Stuff. He shot The Natural. He shot The Passion of the Christ.
But here's the thing with Caleb D. Doesn't work that much.
No.
It's a rare treat when we get the D.
I know he's, you know what he lensed this year?
What?
Rules Don't Apply.
Oh,
The Warren Beatty movie.
That alone makes me more excited.
Did you
for
see the
Rules.
trailer for that
I
thing
did.
though? Where it was the posters, and I was like, oh, this is about like shadowy Hollywood 50s shit. It won't be good, but at least.
Yeah.
And then you see the poster, and it's like It's like, Howard Hughes is sure weird, but he's gonna get these two cuties to like each. It's the stupidest trailer I ever saw.
I'm hoping it's a movie that's impossible to cut a trailer for.
Quite possible.
Because the trailers are so unfocused. They're
what are you
selling
gonna-
that, but they're not coherent.
He's not an easy director to cut a trailer. I mean,
no,
like,
he's not.
you're
He
gonna
also
cut
shot
me
that
out-
movie 3 years ago. So they've had a hard time. He's been editing it forever.
Yeah, who can say what's gonna happen with that one?
Caleb D's great. We don't get the D a lot.
Love that D.
We get his daughters a lot, but we don't get him lensing a big screen.
His
picture.
daughters are Zoe and Emily
Bones.
Deschanel.
Bones Deschanel.
And Bones Deschanel, yeah.
Yeah. And already, so we're seeing for a sort of action programmer.
Took a sesame seed off your phone.
God, you want to know why we're the two friends? You want proof? Show, don't tell. Who's gonna fucking take a sesame seed off your iPhone screen?
Lifted it off.
Already, the fucking cinematography in this film.
It's gorgeous. It's really a gorgeous movie. It's really, guys, it's really a film that you should see. It's a really good-looking movie.
Here's the other thing I like about McQuarrie. You see it in Rogue Nation. You see it in this, okay? Every cut matters. Every shot matters. He makes
definitely.
puzzle films, right?
Edited by Kevin Stitt.
They're very precise. They're like clockwork, you know? You look at the opera sequence in Rogue Nation, and you look at the opening of this. And this very methodical, the process, the guns, the bullets, loading up. There's a tension just, here's this big-headed fuck.
He's got a big head.
I came here for Tom Cruise. There's no dialogue. Here's some actor I don't even fucking know.
He beat Dominic Purcell in Hollywood's big head competition that year. Finally, Purcell got knocked off. It's a Dominic Purcell joke for you guys.
Big Head Weekly.
What a big head he has.
Yeah. I can't believe he didn't get cast as Big Head on Silicon Valley. Nelson Big Head Spaghetti.
I got you.
So from my purview, when I'm watching the movie, I'm like, here's this guy who they're saying is going to do Die Hard. And from your purview watching this movie, you're like, here's this guy I already know I fucking
hate him.
And you're starting with him, and the movie.
And then also, it's a cool mystery where it's like, okay, he just starts shooting people.
But this whole sequence is shot just from the scope of his rifle. Like once he sets the gun up, long, silent, no dialogue. The scope of the rifle, you see him like panning across like this promenade.
Yeah, it's the Allegheny River, I think. It's in Pittsburgh, and he's panning across the promenade. He sees like there's people on a bench.
Right.
There's like a woman walking like with like a shopping bag or something. Like there's someone with a baby. Like
and McQuarrie takes the time because he wants these people to stick in your mind. You're seeing them the size of ants, right? But he like dresses them well enough. He gives them strong enough action.
Mm-hmm.
He pairs them off. That behaviorally, you remember like here's the mother, here's the guy on the bench, here's this, right?
Right.
And there's like at least 90 seconds before any bullets are fired.
Yeah.
Where you're just like, who's he looking for?
There's
who's
crucial
he
thing where
trying to shoot?
he puts a quarter in the parking meter.
Right.
So you know he has 15 minutes or whatever. Yeah.
Scanning. Who's he looking for? And then he just starts shooting everybody.
Yeah. Methodically killing everybody. It's very brutal. It's very good. It seems random. You don't understand what he's doing.
Shoots like 9 people?
5 people.
Okay.
He kills 5 people.
Yeah.
He misses a couple of times, I think. Or maybe just once. Or does he? Well, this is the thing.
Right.
So, all right. It's great. We can't just sum up the plots of both
but
of these movies.
the opening
is just so crucial.
Right. So then we go to they find
Cut to Detective Emerson.
Right.
Played by David Oyelowo.
Oh, God, this movie's fucking rolling with a stacked supporting cast.
You know, I almost said played by Academy Award nominee David Oyelowo, but
what a
he
bummer.
isn't. And
I know.
It's a real bummer.
And here's the other thing. Oyelowo on the rise. I mean, he's the anti-Jai Courtney. He was this guy who was starting to book parts, and it was like, who's this Oyelowo guy?
The weirdest thing about Oyelowo, and I've interviewed him, he's a lovely man.
Uh-huh.
He was on this show called Spooks, which the Americans know as MI5 because they didn't want to call it Spooks in this country, understandably.
Mm-hmm.
Which was like a spy show in the UK that also had Matthew McFadden, Keely Hawes, and a lot of cool actors, Peter Firth. He was awesome on it. Very cute. He's cute, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And then he got killed off on Spooks because he wanted to leave the show. So they killed him off. And I remember being like, that's too bad because I don't know that this, the 4th lead from Spooks. And then he just starts popping up doing impeccable American accents.
Yeah.
He's in, what's he in? He's in Last King of Scotland.
He's in
Rise
of the Planet
Rise of the Planet of the Apes.
Mm-hmm.
He's in The Help for a minute. He's a preacher in that movie, I think.
Yeah, he's pretty good in that. And he's in, notably...
He's in Red Tails,
yes.
produced by Big Bad George Lucas.
More and More is like the most well-cast movie.
It's true. They just couldn't make it gel, but it's such a good, cast.
But they had Michael B. Jordan. They had Oyelowo. They had all these guys, right before they popped.
They had Cuba right before he was going to pop again.
Yeah.
Terrence Howard right
Right
before he was going to
popped
pop again. It's true.
It's crazy. That movie, the cast is insane. Nate Parker right before he imploded,
Yeah.
but almost popped.
Oh, boy, let's not talk about that.
Nope.
He's in Lincoln this year, and
Right.
this year also he's in Middle of Nowhere, which is Ava DuVernay's first movie and is really worth seeing.
Well, these are the
Fantastic
two key
movie,
films. So he does Middle of Nowhere with Ava DuVernay,
which
right?
he gets like an Indie Spirit nomination for.
And he does The Paperboy with Lee Daniels.
he does. That's right.
Lee Daniels is at that point in time attached to do Selma.
Yeah.
And he goes, I got the guy to play MLK.
Yeah.
And he sells Paramount on a Yellow being MLK.
And
Then-
then so the script passes over to Ava DuVernay.
Well-
She reworks it and stuff.
No, but here's what happens.
Okay, tell me what happened.
He pitches a Yellow to Paramount. Paramount's like, yup, good
Uh-huh.
go. Lee Daniels leaves Selma. They're like, I guess the movie's not happening. And a Yellow's like, I got a director for you.
Because he had made Middle
A
of
Yellow
Nowhere, right.
gets Ava DuVernay hired. which is
And she
pretty-
reworks it, and I think makes it
Yeah.
better.
Oh, yeah, she rewrites the whole thing, but it's pretty impressive for someone who wasn't a star at that point to be able to retain
Hey,
the
man.
lead character.
Because he's so fucking good.
Dude rules.
He's so fucking good. He's also,
He was also in
The Butler.
yeah, I
in
was
between
gonna
those
say
two.
he's really good in The Butler.
Love him. He's great in Most Violent Year. He was great in Queen of Cotway, right?
Oh my god,
I haven't
that
seen
movie
that, but
fucking
you were
rules.
raving
Can I
about
just
it.
can I do 30-second sidebar? Go see
We're
fucking
already
Queen
on
of
a
Cotway.
sidebar.
It's barely still in theaters. Disney dumped it. It's the loveliest fucking movie. It's epic humanist storytelling. It rules. Spoiler alert, I can't foresee a situation in which a Yellow doesn't get one of my 5 Blanky nominations for Best Actor.
Yeah.
He rules in that movie.
Yeah.
Movie rules. Go see Queen of Cotway if you want to fucking like humanity.
So here's what happens. Detective Emerson, played by David Yellow, shows up at this crime scene. He finds a quarter used to pay for parking, lifts a fingerprint from it.
Once
Whoa.
again, the movie's still wordless. We're
What a
just
smart
watching
guy.
him
It's
walk
true.
onto
We're-
this.
that's
It's
the thing.
wordless.
We're not saying that. There's no talking.
None. Just crisp lensing from the D. You're just getting a deep D.
They lift a fingerprint from the quarter. It points to an army sniper who we've been cutting to making bullets in his basement.
Played by his name,
Joseph Sikora
who
is the actor.
is a great
Good
character
actor.
actor.
Good actor.
He played one of the white supremacists on True Detective, that famous 6-minute
Yeah, the long
continuous shot
tracking shot,
sequence. He's
yeah.
the guy with the mustache. He's a really good character. He's great.
So he's a former sniper.
Yeah.
That's why the military police would be involved, I guess. I don't know. They like
David, what am I doing?
Yeah, you're reaching. They they arrest him and like it because it all seems perfect, right? His fingerprints on the thing. He's like a sniper.
Yeah.
He's making bullets in his
Right.
basement. They arrest him. He doesn't say anything.
Uh-huh.
Writes on his notepad. Right? They give him a legal
But
pad.
don't they beat the shit out of him? Because he goes into a coma.
No, he goes into a coma after he does this.
Okay.
He writes on a legal pad.
Yes.
Get Jack Reacher.
Yeah.
And then when Reacher shows up, he's in a coma.
Right.
Or he's about to be.
Okay. So then, David Yell, I swear we're not going to go through the entire movie, but the reason we're going this in depth is because this movie has the best setup in history, right?
This is the thing. This is all the first 20 minutes, and it's really beautiful how...
And who are we not seeing at this point?
Jack Reacher?
David, tell him what I'm doing.
He's miming masturbation and, I guess, reaching.
I'm jacking and reaching.
Yeah. He was doing this a lot at the screening, and it was...
And everyone loved it.
it was very
The audience
comfortable.
applauded.
They
They
did
turned
not.
around. They shone flashlights in my face, okay? So there's a scene we now have.
That's a good sigh from Ben on the pod. Good sigh, Ben. Nice sighing.
Academy Award nominee Rosamund Pike. plays a
Academy
DA.
Award nominee Ben Hosley. Yeah. Rosamund, Rosamund, who's not yet an Academy Award nominee.
Right. And then we have Academy Award nominee Richard Jenkins.
The greatest. He's the DA.
Right.
He's prosecuting this fucker.
She's his daughter.
She's his daughter, although we don't realize that anyway, immediately.
Yeah.
But we realize it pretty quickly. And she's been assigned the unenviable task of defending a man who basically is, been...
They're like open and shut.
Yeah.
This is done, right? And then they're like, he did write down the one thing on the note. This is pretty much the first dialogue scene we're getting in the movie, and it's maybe 15 minutes in, right?
Sure.
And it's like, who the fuck is Jack Reacher? Okay, I just want to read some of this.
Okay, you
because I found this.
Okay, all right, good.
Who the hell is Jack Reacher? Jack Reacher, born Jack, not John, no middle name. He's a ghost. No driver's license, current or expired. No residence, current or former. No credit cards, no credit history. No P.O. box, cell phone, email, nothing. And she goes, can you at least tell me who he is? No, I can tell you who he was. Blood military, born and raised on bases around. Mother was a French national, father in the court. His first trip to the United States was to attend West Point 4 years later, he ships out for good. Iraq, Afghanistan, Balkans, you name it. Served with distinction. Silver Star, Bright Star, Legion of Merit, Defense Superior Service Medal. Have to look that one up. And a Purple Heart. Spent the bulk of his service in military police. Brilliant investigator, probably a troublemaker too. Demoted to captain, vouched his way back to major. Then 2 years ago, he resigns. After a literal lifetime in the military, he just up and quits. And then for only the second time in his life, he enters the United States and simply disappears. She goes, dead maybe? Not according to Social Security and a bank account in Virginia. His pension is deposited monthly, and someone is making the occasional withdrawal. All wire transfers. Can't find out where without a federal warrant. Well, he can't drive or fly, at least not under his real name. Any warrants? Record is clean. Oh, come on. Guys, this is hard to find. This is like fucking transcribed from the thing, and there are a lot of typos. Yeah. The point is, they give this fucking speech,
it's
and
great.
they just
this
go
is
through everything.
Yellow is giving this speech, doing a great job.
And under this, we're seeing Jack Reacher in shadows,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
He wakes up in bed next to a beautiful woman. Oh, right, Tom Cruise is straight.
Yeah, he wears that uncomfortably in this movie, I would say.
Right?
Yes.
And then he, like, goes to a Goodwill, and he takes the clothes off his back. He buys a new outfit. He donates the old outfit.
That's no comment on Tom Cruise's personal life, just his performance in the film. He doesn't have a lot of chemistry with either the women in either of his movies.
No.
Yeah.
Throws out his cell phone. You're seeing him on the Greyhound bus. It's like, this guy's like a fucking ghost. Yeah. And they go through this whole speech about how insane he is and how, like, untrackable he is.
Right.
And they go, so how do we find him? And they go, you don't.
Right.
Knock, 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 knock. Sir, I have a Jack Reacher here to see you. Boom. Best movie of all time. Right?
It's true.
And now at minute 15, Jack
You're just
Reacher...
like, yes, who is he? I want to know.
That speech goes on 4 times longer than what I read.
It's such a tease. It's such a great tease for the audience where the minute he walks in, yes, it's Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
We've seen Tom Cruise before. He's a little short, looks a little stocky these days. You shouldn't be excited, but it has... After 30 years of Tom Cruise, you're still like, I want to see, where is he? Reacher! I want to see Jack Reacher!
But here's the other key, okay? Because from this point on, Jack Reacher teams up with Rosamund Pike. They're trying to clear the name. She's like, it's open and shut. This guy did it. Jack Reacher's like, no, he didn't. And it's like it's a mystery, right?
Sure.
You have scenes with Jack Reacher at a bar. He explains how he's going to beat everyone up. He does it. He does some fucking cool car chases. Turns out the guy at the head of the pyramid is fucking Werner Herzog, which we'll get to in a second.
Yeah, I was going to say, we got to get to that.
But at this point, the movie's pretty standard about...
It's cool, though, because it's one of the... He's like a magic man.
Right.
It's like, Reacher doesn't believe this guy is innocent because he knows this guy from Afghanistan where he was kind of like a cold-blooded psychopath.
Right.
Reacher tried to put him away. That's why the guy called for him, because he knew if anyone was going to get him out of this frame job, it was Jack fucking Reacher.
The one guy who tried to get him in the cell.
And so it's like, I would say it's like a lot of mystery movies. Like, it's pretty formulaic in terms of just how it plays out, where it's like Reacher's like, no, this guy did it. I believe it. He did it.
Yeah.
He makes Rosamund Pike like talk to the victims. You know, he seems to have this weird sort of like, kind of raging morality where he's just like, he's very angry that people are dead.
Well, here's
and
the
he's
thing.
angry that this guy is out and about. He feels like he failed, like that this guy, could do this again.
It's two things at the same time. He has a raging morality, but he also is condescending to literally everyone he ever comes into communication with. Jack Reacher is like very superior to everybody, in a very quiet, calm way. He thinks everyone else is like a fucking noob.
Yeah, but something's eventually clicking for him. Oh, yeah, I mean, okay, you're doing the reaching thing again. Yeah, it's his last name. And, of course, he starts to dig, and no, it's a sinister conspiracy masterminded by a Russian man called the Zek.
Right, which means the prisoner?
The prisoner,
yeah.
Who is a Werner Herzog with one eye gone.
He's
missing an eye. Right, he has one eye. Good. Right. Yeah.
My least favorite kind of eye.
He has no fingers, or at least he's missing several fingers.
I think he's maybe got none. I'm trying to keep it.
He's low on fingers.
Let me count my head. I think he's got 0 fingers left.
And he doesn't do a lot.
But God, is he good?
He's fantastic, and I feel like at the time there was some talk, among critics of like, yeah, Jack Reacher's no good. It's weird that Werner Herzog plays the villain. And then, like, that was kind of all. They acknowledged it. It is weird, but he's incredible.
It's not like Werner Herzog's like a massive star, but they did not really promote that he was in the movie at all, which was odd, right? Because he's the master. Like, he's the big bad in the movie.
Yeah.
He has this amazing monologue where he he explains the finger thing.
Yeah.
He tests one of his like underlings.
Yeah, he's from like some Siberian gulag
Right.
or whatever, and yeah, he's
It's
like,
about like how
oh right, no, it's
your goal to survive.
Michael Raymond James, who's a great actor. He's on Terriers,
Mhm.
and he's in the first season of True Blood.
Mhm.
Is one of his henchmen who like botches the job of killing Reacher, Rosamund Pike,
Sure.
somebody I can't remember. And so he's like, "You must cut off your." I can't do Werner
No,
Herzog.
you have to eat them off. He like tells the
them
story
off,
about
right.
how he was stuck on the top of a mountain and the other guys died, but he survived because he ate his own fingers for nourishment.
Right.
And it's like either I shoot you or you eat the finger. And the guy's like, "Do you have a knife?" And he's like, "I did not have a knife when I was on the mountain." You know, he gives the very Werner
We
Herzog
should get
speech of,
PFD in here, man.
Right.
Do some Werner.
Yeah. I was stuck on the mountain. I did what I had to do
Yeah.
to survive.
Yeah.
Which the crazy thing, I don't know if you know this, that speech was not in the script.
No, he was just chatting. That was actually an off-camera conversation.
A
That
PA
they just had someone running some film.
That's the thing. A PA came up to Werner Herzog and was like, "Hey, Werner, we just broke for lunch. So if you want, Crafty's over there." And he was like, "I do not need to eat when I was stuck in a mountain in Siberia." Jack rolled the camera.
Yo, Caleb,
Yeah, Caleb.
get the D in here.
Caleb, just start rolling. I did what I had to do to survive. An amazing, amazing performance, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, the beauty of it is, here's Tom Cruise, who's all about, like, movie star, like, obfuscation. You know, like, here's, like, you know, he wants to create the image of what he is. And here's, like, Werner Herzog, who is, like, a violent realist.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, the reality of the world.
Right.
And how, like,
Terrifies
doomed we are.
and scares and frightens and
Right.
also draws him in. Yeah.
And here's a movie that's leading to the two of them coming face to face, and
Right.
Tom Cruise, who's like all movie star smoke and mirrors,
Absolutely.
and Werner Herzog, who's just like
Yeah, and that's
this
what's
fatalistic documentary filmmaker.
What's kind of awesome about him as the villain.
Yes.
He doesn't ever kill anyone or
No.
do anything.
No.
He stands in one scene, he sits in another,
Yeah.
he talks,
right?
and he has some sort of magical control over a lot of the people in the movie. Jai Courtney,
Right.
spoiler alert. Seriously, guys, if you want to watch the movie, go watch the movie.
Yeah.
Just go watch the movie. Spoiler alert, David Yellowo.
Right.
And
They do a nice fake out too, where they
They do.
make you think that
They
Jenkins.
make you think it's Jenkins,
yeah,
but I knew it wasn't Jenkins because it's too obvious.
too decent. He's got beautiful baby blues.
Yeah, big old Jenkins.
Yeah. Big old Jenkins.
I don't know why I called him that.
Big Dick Jenkins.
Yeah, big Dick Jenkins.
Yeah.
And it's all through performance,
Right.
and it's it works. I mean,
It works.
of course he has. He's fucking he's psychic. He's the
yeah,
greatest.
And the
I don't know,
final
he's Werner Herzog.
showdown, he's just sitting in a chair in a
Yep.
tractor trailer, like you know.
The final showdown is great. I would say like the action sequence itself, like
Yeah.
her Reacher driving the car into the quarry. But like it is such a 70s or
Yeah.
80s, whatever, Hollywood. Actually, a quarry? Like it's so lo-fi. Like
There are no big set pieces.
he's not
I
hanging
mean,
off a plane or
no.
jumping from the Burj Dubai or what.
No.
You know, like it's just like he drives his car to a quarry, kills like 6 people.
Jack
maybe.
Reacher punches people. He drives a car well.
Yeah,
You know, that's
he
the-
gives the speech about I mean to drink your blood from a boot. There's also that great sequence in the middle where he gets in the bar fight where they've been hired to kill him.
Yeah.
That's which we talked about already, where he's like, "You
Right.
wanted this." And
He's
then
condescending to everyone. He's kind of a dick. He doesn't understand humanity, and he's like an immovable force, right?
Yeah, I called him in my review, which you should read on theatlantic.com of Never Go Back of the sequel. I called him an oblong Hulk,
Yes.
which I thought was good.
I think you nailed it on that one, okay?
He's sort of small, but he's also big. It's weird.
Yeah. Literally, my only complaint about the first movie is that he doesn't punch Werner Herzog in the face.
No, well, but the end is great, where they've got him.
I just want one shot of Tom Cruise punching Werner Herzog for history.
I know.
For like the
no.
national.
I'm not with you. You know what?
The Library of
Art
Congress
must
should
triumph.
have that.
Art must triumph, and the way it ends is beautiful. Which
It's a beautiful
is
ending.
the Zach is like, yes, you have defeated me, but who gives a shit? And I go to prison. Like I don't know. Like
Yeah.
he sort of lays out for Reacher like, I might not even get convicted. You don't have
Yeah.
a lot. You killed all the witnesses,
Right.
Because you're crazy.
Yeah, because you're fucking.
And Reacher is essentially like, you're right. Bam, shoots
Yeah.
him in the face,
Rules.
and he's like, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
and that's
And
the
that's
end
the thing.
of the movie.
And just as quickly, he was gone. Jack Reacher is fucking the man with no name. You know? Like, these are Westerns. These are modern day Westerns. They can't find him. No one can call him, but he shows up when they need him.
Yes.
And just as quickly as his job is done, he disappears.
And the best thing about the movie, or one, not the best, but a cool thing about the movie is that at the end, Barr, the guy who's framed,
Yeah.
the sniper who was framed, and is innocent of
Yeah.
these crimes. The crimes were committed because they were killing one person,
Right.
And the others were all like collateral damage to make it look like a random,
Yeah,
mass
which is
murder,
great.
Which is great.
It's a cover. Yeah.
He confesses anyway and goes to prison for the crime, because he's more afraid of not confessing because then he thinks Jack Reacher will just fucking kill him anyway.
Yeah.
Jack Reacher, go see it. It's long.
Yeah, it's like 2:10.
It's
2:15.
2 hours and 10 minutes long. Yeah. It's a little slow at times. It doesn't matter. It's great.
It rules. I'll say it gets better the second time. Yeah. I saw it in theaters. I saw it with my friend Alex Perlin, who we just go see a movie almost every weekend. We were like, what haven't we seen? I guess Jack Reacher. We kind of went indifferently.
Sure.
I was like, this is surprisingly good. And then I watched it on Netflix with friends a couple months later, and I was like, well, no, wait, this movie rules. This movie's the number one best. Modest success. He kept on saying that he wanted to make into a franchise, but it seemed like maybe that wouldn't happen, right?
It didn't seem like it made enough money. In between Reacher and Reacher 2, he makes Oblivion.
Which did well, was hated.
No, it made 89 on a $120 million budget.
Overseas.
Overseas it made 200. So, 286. It did okay, but certainly no one's excited about that. Oblivion's a fascinating movie, and I would love to talk about it sometime. Have you ever seen it?
No.
Yeah, it's concept art. The movie is the best way to put that.
Melissa sounds
Leo,
like Tron Legacy.
Exactly, but I like both those movies. I like certain things about both those movies. Melissa Leo plays a tetrahedron.
Oh, cool! I will watch it then.
She literally plays an evil tetrahedron.
Cool.
Yeah.
And how about Edge of Tomorrow?
Well,
you guys ever seen
the
that?
fucking best,
Edge
which
of Tomorrow,
McQuarrie
which is
punches
a
up.
fantastic film.
And I think he's credited as a writer on that, right?
Yes, along with the Butterworths.
Right, but by all accounts, McQuarrie is the one who really elevated that script. So goes
based
the
on a Japanese manga called All You Need Is Kill.
Yeah.
Or maybe not a manga. It's like a novel. It's like an illustrated novel or something. I think it's a different.
There's a term that's like a light novel or something.
It's a bad name.
Not the best name.
Yeah, it's sort of forgettable right away.
You're talking about Edge of Tomorrow, Live, Die, Repeat, All You Need Is Kill,
Yeah.
Groundhog War. That movie's the best.
I love that movie. It would be in my top 10 of 2014. Emily Blunt's incredible in it. It's the rare movie where Tom Cruise lets himself be just like a charming motherfucker, a lovable jerk, kind of like an old 90s Tom Cruise performance.
I think it's Tom Cruise's number one best performance of all time.
No, Jerry Maguire. But it's up there.
That's my 3.
Jerry
Magnolia's
Maguire.
my 2.
He's great Magnolia. But he's great Magnolia. What a performance that is.
Yeah.
I don't even care. It's great. I don't even care. And then Rogue Nation. Rogue Nation last year. Great.
Yeah.
This year, what's his movie? Jack Reacher Never Go Back.
Ooh, really, Tom? We're going back to that well? You yourself said never go back in the title.
Well, yes.
McQuarrie, not on this, because McQuarrie is now a Mission Impossible man. So who does he get? Joel Zwick?
No, Ed Zwick. What are you talking about?
Who's Joel Zwick?
That is somebody.
Right?
Now I have to look him up. Joel Zwick is a director who does TV, but he directed My Big Fat Greek Wedding.
And the Fat Albert movie.
That's correct.
There we go.
And something called Second Sight.
He
with
might
John
have
Larroquette and Bronson Pinchot or whatever his name is.
He might have been a better choice for Jack Reacher Never Go Back. Because
despite popular misconception, according to Wikipedia, not related to Edward Zwick.
Oh, okay.
No, so Cruise brings in for Jack Reacher Never Go Back. I guess McQuarrie's busy on Mission Impossible, which is too bad because I'd love to see him come back.
Me too.
There's puns to be made here.
Yeah.
But Cruise goes to the guy who made The Last Samurai with him, Edward Zwick.
Everyone's favorite Tom Cruise movie.
Nobody. Sake! Bad movie. Bad director. Bad director. Here's some Zwicks. Glory. Okay. Sort of like a decent Oscar-y kind of movie. Right? Glory's like a decent.
That's
made
probably his
about
best film, right?
Legends of the Fall.
I
haven't seen that. I think it's pretty.
It's supposed to be pretty.
Courage Under Fire.
Yeah.
The Siege. Ugh. These are some shitty movies, man.
They're
movies. All like movies with big stars like Denzel is in Courage Under Fire and The Siege. And Glory. Brad Pitt's in Legends of the Fall, Anthony Hopkins. Like, he would get these big budgets, these big epic stories, and he'd always tell them, okay. Like, it wasn't even the worst movie you ever saw. It was just why did I waste 2.5 hours? Like, the Oscars aren't gonna
And we were arguing about this the other night after seeing the movie. I think pretty much every Zwick movie has failed to meet
has been like an
expectations.
underperformer. I think
Even
that's
the
not
ones
true of
that
The
did
Last Samurai,
well.
but the others, you're basically right.
I think the bar is always of expectations is always higher. That like, oh, this is going to be his best picture play. This is going to be a full on blockbuster. And even like Last Samurai did 114, but I remember people being like, "It's probably going to make like 200." You know?
Mm-hmm. I think that was also a little not to beef with Cruise, but it was a little on Cruise because that was when he was getting into some
into
shit.
trouble.
Yeah,
he was getting the danger zone.
But you're right. All his movies are kind of flops. Like Legends of the Fall made $66 million, and that's the highest grossing movie he made before. It's still his second highest grosser. The only hit he's made is Last Samurai.
Yeah.
After Last Samurai, he makes Blood Diamond, which is sort of not enough of a hit, but gets some Oscar noms. And I don't know. I guess it's on cable a lot, right?
Right. He makes Defiance.
And it's serious. And he makes Defiance, which I
Total
remember
non-starter.
I was so pumped for because I was like, yeah, give me Daniel Craig, the mean Jew again. Like, I love it. Gun-toting Jew Daniel Craig. But no, it's a crappy movie. Nobody watches it.
And he makes Love and Other Drugs.
Which is really horrendous.
Yeah.
Horrendous. Have you seen that film?
Yes.
Hate that movie.
Yeah.
Like, another Oscar play that's like a weepy plus a sex comedy. It sucks.
Well, that's like Gad's giving a performance out of like American Pie 7.
Yep.
Yeah. And then meanwhile, like Hathaway's in Love Story, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a tonally
and
confused movie.
It's like making this point about like, drugs are too expensive in America. Like, I feel it's trying to have all kinds of cake and eat it all. And
it's neither funny nor poignant. I don't find it particularly sexy, despite starring two attractive people who are naked a lot.
Sure, exactly.
It's not a good movie.
It's not sexy. And then Pawn Sacrifice.
Oh, right. Jesus Christ.
Which is
forgot.
kind of an interesting movie, much better than the other movies we're talking about, though not good.
I cited it as the most okay movie of 2015.
Just weird, abrasive.
Yeah.
Half committed to this idea. It's a movie about Bobby Fischer. That like, Bobby Fischer was a really impossible person.
Mm-hmm.
Like, got a lot of good performances in his
really
supporting
strong
cast, like
Sarsgaard
Michael
rules
Stuhlbarg and
in
Peter
that movie.
Sarsgaard. But
Schreiber's good.
Schreiber's great.
Yeah.
But certainly that thing vanished without a trace. I mean,
Disappeared.
Yeah.
Disappeared. And now he does the thing he promised he would never do. He goes back.
He's slumming it.
He's
a little
slumming
bit.
it.
For him, he's slumming it.
Now, I was excited
Yeah,
by him
we were
slumming
like, hey, maybe slumming it is what he's always needed to do.
because I think he's always failed by by delusions of grandeur. I think Zwick has always thought that he was a more important filmmaker than he was and comes up with these sort of lofty ambitions and falls short, right?
Right.
And I was like, maybe if he just tries to hit a double, he can elevate the material a little bit, you know?
Yeah.
He can pull like a Macquarie. But man, does this movie feel like he was just trying to qualify for another year of DGA health insurance?
That was your joke.
I'm going to repeat a lot of jokes I made after the screening.
That's fine.
The other thing was, within 5 minutes of the movie starting, I turned to you and I said, this feels like the 7th Jack Reacher movie, which you used in your review.
I did. I stole it.
It's fine.
Yeah, I stole it from you without asking.
Totally fine.
But it
We're the
does.
two
I mean,
fans.
it does. It really.
But
it's one of those things where we're fine with what's going on because we saw Jack Reacher recently,
Right.
and we like the movie.
But you have to assume most
Come
people
on.
aren't as primed and ready and
this
buttered
one's
up for
like
this.
The other one, which is based on the novel One Shot, that's more of your standard like cool mystery.
Which, by the way, is not the first Jack Reacher book. They just picked the best
Yeah,
one.
they just picked a good one.
Right?
This one, which is also, it's like the 15th Jack Reacher. It's the 18th, maybe? I can't even remember.
It's the 18th of
This
21.
one's set in like the bowels of military bureaucracy.
Yeah.
It's like he's becomes like phone friends with Kobe Smulders, who plays Susan Turner, who's like the woman who replaced him at his old battalion or whatever.
Because let's just say the movie once again starts off well, but with a fatal mistake. The opening of the film is
So cool.
and it's Oliver Wood, it's not Deschanel. We're not getting the D.
But Oliver Wood's all right.
Yeah, he's good, but we're not getting the D. Let's just call it like we sees
Okay.
it, right?
I like Oliver Wood.
I do too, but we're not getting the D.
I think Oliver Wood's cool. Yeah, no, we're not getting the D.
Okay? Iris in on a diner. Cops pulling up. They're like, what's going on? Fight here. How many, whatever. They go, it's one guy. He's still sitting
He
there.
took them all out. He's just sitting there.
Right, and he's sitting there, and you see Cruz from behind. He's wearing the jacket.
This was in the trailers.
Right.
Yeah.
He looks fucking great. And they're like, why don't you come with us, sir? And he's like, two things are about to happen. That phone's going to ring, and then you're going to walk out of here wearing those handcuffs. And then he fucking calls a shot,
It's great.
and it
He
was a
points
setup.
at the phone and it rings. I mean, in my review, I called him like he's like the Fonz or whatever. Like it's like he just sort of conjures justice from nothing.
Right.
Like it's very cool.
But it feels like, okay, good start.
The
because
phone rings and it's like the sheriff's been doing human trafficking or something, and Reacher busted it up. Like, right? I don't know.
That's the thing that's great about Jack Reacher.
We're like at the end of a Jack Reacher mystery.
Right.
Yeah.
And the thing that's great about Jack Reacher is he's borderline magical. You know?
He's also a maniac.
Yeah. And he's like a monster, and he's terrifying.
Yeah.
But this is the fatal mistake the movie makes, is I think the first movie is so smart to spend the first 15 minutes without Jack Reacher.
Mm-hmm.
Right? To get you first invested
Setting
in the
up
mystery.
your crime. Yeah.
Then introduce you to the people in the office. Yellowell, Jenkins, Pike. 3 ringers. 3 actors we
This movie
trust.
doesn't have no ringers. I mean, I like Smulders, but apart from that.
But they give us 3 characters to sort of identify with before Reacher comes in, and they already explain to us who Reacher is. So by the time we meet him, we're like, he's not going to change. He's an immovable force. You know?
Sure.
He doesn't represent the human condition in any way.
Sure.
We're mostly associating with Pike, who's joining him on this journey, and we're relating to her, marveling at, like, who the fuck is this guy?
Right.
Right? This movie starts with Jack Reacher, which is cool, but then it's like, oh shit, they're going to make him the audience surrogate character.
Right.
Which is a nightmare decision.
Very bad decision.
So then he's calling in, the cases to Colby Smulders, who's his, like, pen pal.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, it's a nice relationship. They're sort of similar professionals. She's kind of a female Jack Reacher, except not scary.
She's sort of hard edge, but not as right.
And we said, like, Game Recognized Game, Cruise has been picking really good leading ladies lately.
Pike,
Blunt, Ferguson. These women who are great actresses and are kind of giving awesome character actress performances of a Tom Cruise type. They don't have the same inherent scariness, but they're able to do a more likable version of the Tom Cruise, like, hyper-focused laser beam, kind of thing.
Absolutely.
And the blade hands running. Yes. My favorite. He always does the Robert Patrick running.
Yeah.
So she's good in this.
Shout out Hannah Blackman. Pointed that out.
Yes. Shout out to Hannah Blackman.
Yeah.
Apologies because I said I was going to go see this movie with her before the screening came up.
Nah, fuck you.
Yeah. I'm a piece of shit.
Yeah.
She's good in this, but here's like another problem that becomes apparent when we're watching the movie and just the fucking opening credits happen. No one else in the supporting cast of this movie.
Yeah.
The first one, we didn't even fucking mention that Bob Duvall's in it.
Oh, shit. Yeah, Bob Duvall is in the first Jack Reacher, and he's wonderful.
He comes in the last
he's
half hour.
He's the guy who runs a sniper range. It's great. He helps
just teams
out.
Up with, yeah.
He's like blind, and he helps out Jack Reacher take out Jai Courtney, and it's fantastic.
Yeah, and he fucking rules.
Fantastic.
Yeah, we got like a great fucking cast in that movie, and this one it's like Tom Cruise, Colby Smulders.
You're like, all right, let's go.
And then it's like
Aldous Hodge,
who I like, plays
the guy
MC
from
Ren
Leverage?
in Straight Outta Compton. He was
Yeah,
the
right.
7th lead in Straight Outta Compton, right?
He was Voodoo Tatum, or Taylor, Voodoo Tatum, I think, on Friday Night Lights.
Good actor, but
Love
like,
him. I think he has a great
You're
presence.
like, oh, he's third bill?
I don't know if I want him third bill, but whatever. Patrick Husinger.
Yeah, what?
Danica Yarosh.
Huh?
Holt McElhaney.
Right, where you're like, that's...
Yeah. I think I want him splitting a title card.
Well, here's the other thing. Like,
Austin Hebert.
Holt McElhaney being...
These are some weird names.
Holt McElhaney, yes. Holt McElhaney being 6th or 7th build sounds about right, but you want everyone between Tom Cruise and Holt McElhaney to be impressive.
Yeah.
And then when you're like, Tom Cruise, Colby Smulders, Holt McElhaney.
Yeah.
And it's like, wait, why wasn't he third build? Like, he's the third biggest name here, and even that is, like, generous.
He's not a big...
There's no and on this film, which is, like, a bummer. I was like, okay, supporting cast isn't that stacked, but there's going to be and...
No.
know?
Robert Napper.
Right.
Yeah.
Who's just, like, such a stock kind of, like, bad guy in this type of movie that you're like, oh, fuck, you know? So the supporting cast, and then the main, like, grunt who's playing, like, the Jai Courtney sort of equivalent part makes you long for the days of Jai Courtney.
You want old Potato Head back.
You want old Potato Head back.
Patrick Husinger.
Yeah.
Who, apparently he played a rich gentleman in Black Swan.
Okay, if you say so. Yeah, he's been in, like, 12 movies I've seen.
Played a guy called Patch in Francis Ha.
Sure. I mean, yeah, I guess.
Yeah,
I can't prove that he didn't.
And he's been in some TV shows like Girlfriend's Guide to Divorce.
Okay.
He had a 4-episode run in Gossip Girl as Lord Marcus Beaton.
Oh, that sounds cool, actually.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah.
He's a nobody, and it shows. He feels like a nobody.
And every time
he plays
comes on
the
screen,
hunter, who is like the main villain.
But who fucking cares? And every time it comes on screen, you're like, oh, that's that guy. Okay. Because he has the most no-face face I've ever seen.
He really does. He's handsome-ish, sort of a tall guy. Nothing.
And look,
white guy.
He's a totally acceptable actor, but he leaves no impression. This character's underwritten. He himself isn't that distinctive,
the
right?
idea is that he's sort of like Reacher. He's like an ex-military guy, but he went bad. And
right.
he's sort of fascinated by Reacher.
But
He
what
wants to kill him.
what the movie kind of sets up is that like Colby Smulders is like one tie to reality. He's like passing through town. He's like, oh, let me go check in on her. He gets there. Holt McElhenney's there. He's like, where's
he's
my
looking
friend?
for a bang, by the way.
Right.
He wants.
Oh,
a bang.
clearly.
He's looking
It's a
for
thirst
a
trap.
hookup. It's a thirst.
Because he keeps on going like, what if I took you out to dinner?
Yeah,
You know?
and she's like, yeah, we'll see. You know.
We'll drink out of a boot.
He shows up. She's been put in prison, framed for espionage. He
Right.
breaks her out of prison. The rest of the movie's a chase movie.
Which is the opposite of what we want. We want him fucking solving a mystery, which he's not
Exactly.
really doing in this.
Not especially, because the mystery is these. I mean, whatever. Spoiler alert. These guys are running some guns.
Right,
from
and she's
Afghanistan.
another Jack Reacher, so she doesn't serve as like a counterpoint in the same way that Pike did. You know?
Absolutely. No, there's a lot of fighting between them where she's like, you have to take me seriously. And he's kind of like, I don't know.
I don't
work
take
alone."
anyone seriously. I'm
Yeah.
Jack Reacher. I hate everybody.
She's like,
I
is
hate
it because I'm a
humanity."
woman? And he's like, maybe. I
No,
don't
it's
know.
because you're not Jack Reacher.
Yeah, it's more that. But he's sort of, at least they acknowledge it.
That one scene's almost interesting.
Almost. Because she's good.
She's good.
There's an interesting scene early on where they like retire to a hotel to hide out, and she's topless. Like,
and then
she's
he
in a
gets
bra,
topless,
and he takes his shirt off too, and it's very non-sexual,
which
like,
I love.
They're just, it's like they're two military like grunts who are like two GIs who are like debriefing after something. You know,
Which pointed out there's a lot of sexual tension in Rogue Nation, but he and Rebecca Ferguson never kiss, and it almost feels like the attraction is more like game recognized game.
Sure.
Like,
and this is
you're
similar.
equivalent in power to me. And even Edge of Tomorrow is sort of the same thing. They have the kiss, but the kiss is kind of a like, well, we're about to die, so why not moment.
Right.
His leading ladies now he doesn't really have relationships with. They're just sort of like peers, which I like.
Yeah, I mean, he's 20 years older than Kobe.
Right.
The movie claims that Jack Reacher's in his 40s.
Yeah.
Tom Cruise is 54 years old.
Yeah.
You know, they kind of sell it. And then they have this one conversation where she's like, what if we weren't on the run? Would we get dinner? And he's like, yeah, I was thinking champagne. And you're like, no, you weren't. No, you never thought about anything. You're not a person.
It feels like they're both robots doing an impression of how a person
But him more
flirts.
so.
Yes. But then this movie throws this dumb fucking thing out, which is,
Throws it out early, too.
oh, paternity suit filed against you. What? Your daughter. I don't have a daughter. Yes, you do. Prostitute, drug addict, has a 15-year-old.
Yeah.
And then he's like, okay, I'm going to go spy on this girl. The girl's like, who the fuck are you?
Samantha, played by Danica Yarosh.
Yeah. Unfortunately, not Samantha Reacher.
What do you mean? Yeah, no.
She hasn't taken the name Reacher yet.
No. Samantha Dayton.
And he follows her around, and then she's like, what
She
the fuck are
was-
you doing here? And he's like, you're in danger. Come with me. He essentially just abducts her, Qui-Gon Jinn style.
Yeah, he kind of does. I mean, she's in trouble, though, because they're going after her
And
as
he's
well.
like, trust me. And then, like, an hour later, he reveals that he's her father. And she's like, you're not my father. And he's like, why not? And she's like, oh, shit, you're my father. Like, that's the whole conversation.
Yeah.
She's like, that's impossible. And he's like, why is it impossible? And she's like, oh, no, you are my father.
It is. And the whole time you're watching the movie, you're like, look, they're not. He's not her dad. You just know it. You're like, they wouldn't do that. You know, it's just
And
not
also,
enough.
we don't
They
want to
drop
see
all
him
these-
get human.
Well, that's the thing. They wouldn't bother. And he walks down to town. He hitchhikes. He's like the Incredible Hulk. Like,
Right.
You can't, you know.
That's the last shot of the movie is a close-up of his thumb on the road.
It's literally Bill Bixby.
Yeah.
But once in a while, she has like kind of a reachery skill for sneaking in somewhere and stealing something, or fighting.
She exclusively calls him Reacher, even though she knows at the second half of the movie that he's her father,
Uh,
or believes.
yeah. So they have that thread running, but you kind of know it's not going to work out. But it's obvious, and maybe it's not obvious because maybe it's in the book. But it's clearly something Zwick, who is more into that kind of soapy stuff. He created fucking 30-something.
Yeah.
Grabbed onto and was like, well, this is good. This is like a nice arc for the movie, right? Like Reacher humanizes a little bit. He forges a connection with this girl. That's good. Even if maybe they don't end up like father and daughter at the end of the movie, like that's nice for us to have, right? We don't want that.
That's the fucking opposite of what I want out of Jack
We
Reacher.
don't want it. We don't want it. Never go back.
Now this is where we get into like the seventh movie thing. It's like the movie starts and you're like, this movie's way too relaxed.
Yeah.
It is way too confident that we're all in the pocket for Jack Reacher, which you and I are in the pocket for Jack Reacher.
We are.
But it's not like that movie, there was a demand for the second one, right? And the movie's not working hard to
really.
impress you.
And I don't think the movie's going to do that well.
I don't either.
It'll open to 20 mil. Maybe it'll do about the same.
They claim it cost 60 mil, which is the same amount the first one cost. I think there's no way it cost that much. I think Tom Cruise got $20 million, and I think the rest of the movie cost $10 million. The movie looks really fucking cheap to me.
It does look cheap, but I'm sure it cost $60 million. It's not hard for a movie to cost that much money.
Then maybe Tom Cruise's salary was $50 million because I don't think the rest of the movie could have cost more than 10.
All right.
It's very limited in sort of scope. They go to different cities, but it's just like it's poorly,
It's from DC and then they go to New Orleans. The big finale is set during Mardi Gras, which is dull.
The action
and like
sequences
a dumb
are
cliche.
indifferently
The
directed.
biggest problem
they feel
is the
very
action.
second unit.
I would be fine with this movie with all of its flaws if the action was awesome.
and it blows.
It is not awesome. It's kind of boring. I didn't even hate the movie. Like 3 stars. Like it's honestly that's the thing that
I like it less the more I think about it. 2.5, and that's generous just because it's a Reacher movie.
As my friend Matt Singer, our friend of the pod, future guest, said, like he says he's going to break someone's legs and then their arms and then their neck, and then he does it. Like there's fun Reacher things.
Yeah,
happen.
that's cool. That's why I give it 2.5 stars. The problem is the first movie does that more and does it more elegantly. Yeah. But so we saw this together 2 days ago, right?
Correct.
Yesterday, I went to go see Shin Godzilla, a.k.a. Godzilla Resurgence.
Sure, which I have not yet seen, but I've heard it's great.
I liked it a lot. I was a big fan. I'm a big Godzilla fan. I've seen a chunk of them.
Not.
But I mean,
But I mean, I like Godzilla. I just feel like being a big Godzilla fan, that requires a lot of sort of nerdy, like, right? All that
Yeah, I'm not a huge Godzilla fan. Like, I wouldn't cite
There's just
myself
a lot
as
of
an
them.
expert, but I'm pretty well-versed, right? And Godzilla is, much like, the Westerns, stuff we're talking about, it's like there's a set formula for that franchise, for how these movies work. And a lot of the ways that the Roland Emmerich movie fails is from deviating from that formula. Godzilla movies have a lot of bureaucracy in them, right? There's never that much of the monster. It's mostly the government dealing with it. It's always some sort of allegorical panic, right?
Right. I saw our friend of the pod, Emily Yoshida, talking about
Mhm.
that, right? Like the movie's like weirdly nerdy.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's always very nerdy, right? But like the key is Godzilla's Godzilla. Like you know what you're going to see.
Sure, he's not going to suddenly... Yeah, carry on.
It's like covers of the same song. It's a great song, and you're letting other people reinterpret it. And it's like, but, keep the things we like about the song. Put your own spin on it,
Sure.
but don't fucking deconstruct it to the point where it doesn't sound like the thing that I like.
Right.
And they don't try to make Godzilla anything other than what he is,
Sure.
Like, even when you get to the movies where there's another monster for Godzilla to fight, and this is not one of those. This is one where it's just Godzilla destroying stuff and them trying to stop them.
Sure.
Versus the ones where he has to sort of defend the city. He can never get too heroic. He can never become too conscious or deliberate, right?
Yeah.
The Roland Emmerich movie, they make it that Godzilla is a woman and she's just trying to protect her babies.
That movie makes a ton of mistakes.
Right.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, in some of the original Godzilla films, he has a son. He has Godzilla Jr., but it's like, it's a very animalistic relationship, and they don't try to map too many human emotions onto it.
Right.
Like, just let Godzilla be Godzilla.
Let Godzilla be Godzilla.
And seeing that the day after Jack Reacher, like, hammered in for me even more how disappointed I was and never go back, because I feel like they're not letting Jack Reacher be Jack Reacher. It feels like he went to Paramount and was like, please let me make another one. And they were like, okay, but can you make Jack Reacher a little more like other characters?
That makes sense. That they would maybe have demanded just like, can it not be as brutal as the first one? The first one was just so cold.
He's a cold character.
Well, yes, he is.
But that's like a fucking bummer to me, because that's the appeal of Jack Reacher. Without that, it's like, you get a couple good moments. You have him explaining how he's going to beat the people up, You got Cruise, who's the best at putting on and taking off jackets in the history of cinema.
Yeah.
But, like, other than that, it's like, what the fuck is this thing? There's not that much inherent to the concept. It's like the character. And you lose the physical presence. It was all in the way that Cruise played him, which means the brutality, the sort of condescension, the
And
clinical appraisal of situations.
I think I said this to you after. I did say it. I think he's maybe even better. He's so at ease with the character. I think it's a great performance from him.
I agree, but
in
it's a bummer applied to this
No,
movie.
I agree.
Yeah.
It's just, there's something about he like sort of sniffs and grimaces every time he's like interacting with a person.
He plays
which
it like a cat.
Hates.
Yeah.
Yes. And then he's like so confident and comfortable when he is, beating the shit out of somebody.
Yeah. Now, here's the thing. I think this is like, a real misstep for the Jack Reacher franchise, and I hope it's not the end of them.
It might be, but
also,
it might not.
I mean, they're low cost enough. I really think they're inflating the number on the budget. And I think he'll do well enough overseas and like fucking whatever, and he might make more of them. You asked why he was trying to keep this franchise going so much. And the thing we talked about, which we, sort of teased at the beginning of the episode, is that Mission Impossible is obviously his big champagne franchise, right?
But it can't last forever.
I mean, that franchise is built upon the promise of him doing incredible, insane stunts, and he's 53.
4. Yeah. He's getting old.
Yeah, and like he's at a point right now where his face has gotten a little more interesting because he's got the bags under his eyes, but he's still like got jet black hair. He's still working out a lot. His body's a little weird.
Getting a little weird.
It's getting a little weird, but he's like fighting the last vestiges of like, can I still look like a virile man, right?
Right.
Mission Impossible isn't going to work when he passes that.
He's going to make 6.
No question.
And then we'll see.
Yes. There might be a passing of the torch at that point. I wouldn't be surprised if 6 is constructed to let Ferguson sort of lead the franchise.
That'd be cool. I mean,
It would
Renner
rule.
certainly ain't going to. I mean,
Right.
the weird thing about the plans they all made, both Mission Impossible and Bourne, to have Jeremy Renner take over the franchise is Jeremy Renner is 45 years old. Like, he's
It
not
was
your
so
young
bizarre.
gun.
No, absolutely not.
I mean, I get what they saw in The Hurt Locker.
100%.
Obviously, like, this is a movie star.
But he
and
was no spring chicken.
He was no spring chicken, and also, he's not a movie star. He's good. He's what you want.
He's a great character actor. He's an incredible supporting
What you
player.
want is him in the Mission Impossible movies,
Right.
and things like that, and
Right.
the Avengers movies.
But
Like, you like him to play off.
Pretty much plays a bureaucrat in the Mission Impossible movies. He's like their point man.
If we're talking about like Arsenal in the '90s,
Yeah.
he's Dennis Bergkamp. He plays off the ball.
Right.
You know, he's great. You want him up front, but he's Dennis Bergkamp.
Fuck,
He's
that's not
Ian
my
Wright.
podcast. But the thing with Jack Reacher
Or Thierry
is
Henry. Mhm.
Jack Reacher is a character he could play as he gets older.
Absolutely. And you
Because-
made this point to me last night, Tuesday or whatever. Yeah, now I was like, you're totally right.
Because Clint Eastwood could play Jack Reacher, and Liam Neeson could play Jack
Well,
Reacher.
because he's right out of those sorts of sort of dime store heroes, right? Like, yeah.
It's so much about presence and intellect. And when he's physical in a very precise, like limited amount of movement kind of way. That's his whole thing.
Sure.
So it's a thing you could shoot around with an older guy. And I think the Jack Reacher movies could actually get better as Tom Cruise got grayer. And I think this movie is like a bummer, but it also is like the whole point is like Jack Reacher's on like a continuum. He's like a feedback loop. Like he's never going to change. And the next movie could reset and totally ignore everything that happened in this movie, and it wouldn't feel lazy or sloppy.
It would feel
or disrespectful.
Correct. Yes.
I think they should just make fucking 45 of these. And I think his thing is like, look, I'm not going to be able to be this A-list, like sci-fi, like leading guy forever. This is maybe my retirement policy.
Sure.
Is every couple of years I whip out a
If
Reacher.
he wants to do that, that's fine. Get a better director, Tommy.
Agreed.
Pick a novel that's, I don't know. I mean, maybe the novel's good, so I shouldn't demean. But just do things a little differently.
Here's the thing I read, though. Never Go Back, which people say is a good novel. That's the 18th one. So if like 18 in, you're introducing the idea of making him a little human. That's very different than the second movie, right?
Yeah.
The other thing is apparently the daughter doesn't come in until the very end of the novel.
Uh-huh.
Like he's aware of the daughter, and he's sort of coming to terms with the idea of having
I
a daughter.
see.
out
So they
there.
really did mess with it.
They fucking Williams.
she's on
her.
this road. She's on this road trip with them for 2/3 of the movie.
Yeah, 100%, which is a fucking bummer.
Let's play the box office game.
Okay.
This is for Jack Reacher.
Right. We don't know how Never Go Back
No.
does this weekend. My guess is 16 million.
So this is
En route to 50 domestic.
right. This is Christmas weekend,
Okay.
2012.
Okay. I also really need to go to the bathroom, so I'm going to try to do this one quickly. No merchandise spotlight, no burger report, no orange twist file, box office report, and then I'm going to poop really hard. Okay. 2012. It opens what number in the box office?
It opens number 2.
Wow. Okay, so not a great weekend. This is sort of right before the Christmas rush. So it's like the calm before the storm, right? Number 1, how much does it make?
36 million in its second week.
That's not bad.
It's a 56% drop. It's a big blockbuster movie. It's the first in a new franchise, but it's a sort of a spin-off.
It's a December franchise.
It is.
But it's kind of a spin-off. Is it a Marvel picture?
No.
It's kind of a franchise, but it's kind of a spin-off. But it is part of like a connected universe in that kind of way? Interesting. So 36-second weekend, which means it made like 70 the first weekend.
Yeah, I can even find that info for you. Yeah, it makes 84 its first weekend.
Wow.
And this movie eventually grosses 300 domestic, 1 billion worldwide, which is crazy.
In 2012.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason you're not getting this. All right, another clue?
And they made another one.
They made 2 more, and you want to talk about this movie on our podcast.
Oh, boy. Was that the clue you were going to give?
Yeah.
2012. They've made 2 more since then.
They made 2 more, yeah.
They've both been released since then.
The series that it's a part of has now concluded. And I don't know that they'll ever make another movie in this sort of universe. I feel like they've tapped the well. Maybe they will. God
Is it a book series?
Yeah.
And is it like a YA thing?
No.
So it's not 50 Shades of Grey. It's looking at February.
Yeah, that's February. I can't believe you're not getting this. Now I feel like it's obvious.
And I want to talk about it.
You do.
Because of the director?
For your sins, yes.
Did one director do all of them?
Yes.
Oh.
Uh-huh.
It's the second one or the first one?
First one.
It's The Hobbit, An Unexpected Journey.
That's right.
I do want to talk about these movies.
I kind of do too. Just
They're fascinating.
give me. I just need a little space.
But Jesus Christ, what a testament to those movies not having any sort of cultural mark.
Absolutely, especially that one. And honestly, I think there's a lot to love in. I think it's a lot to love in every Hobbit movie.
I only saw the first one, and I saw it in the high frame rate shit, so it was just a deeply unpleasant experience.
You only saw the first one?
Yeah. Which is why I want to do the miniseries.
Oh, yeah. They get better.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the first one is the worst, easily.
Yeah. I saw the first one in the high frame rate and was like,
second-
I fundamentally hate what they're doing. This feels so padded out.
Oh,
This
it
looks
is.
awful.
I mean, don't.
Yeah.
I mean, the high frame rate. You have to not
Was
see it in
bullshit.
that. The second one is the one that critics kind of liked, and I was a little underwhelmed by. But it has a lot of cool action sequences and is not bad.
Uh-huh.
The third one, which everyone hated,
The
except
second one's the barrel chase one, right?
Yes. The third one, which everyone hated except for me, I think is this like hilarious like LSD trip of a fucking nonsense movie. I
So
think
it's like
great.
It's like the third Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah.
Okay, we
I
need to
kind of
do
had
it.
the same.
We
but
need to do this.
one day.
Yeah,
We'll
we-
get to Jackson
yeah.
one day. Anyway. Number 2, Jack.
And by the
Reacher.
way, we've set our next miniseries, and we'll announce it soon, but we're very excited by it. I think it's really exciting, and I think it's big.
We've talked about it before, at least vaguely on this podcast.
Yeah, we haven't announced that it's
No,
going to be the next one. We've
No,
thrown
I
it
know,
out as a
I know.
concept, but it's big.
I know.
We're excited.
Number 2, Jack Reacher, opens to 15, finishes with 80, as we
Okay.
said. Number 3 is also a new entry. It's a comedy. It was a $35 million budget, and it eventually grosses $67 million domestic, 88 worldwide. So that'll give you a hint. This is not a global film.
This is not a global play.
It is a quasi sequel to another comedy.
It was a quasi. Oh, this is 40.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We could do Apatow one day too.
We'll do
because,
Apatow one day, no question.
Boy, that is
Yeah.
a weird movie.
Weird movie. Do you remember what the tagline was for that movie?
The sort of sequel to Knocked Up or something.
There was that, but in the trailers they said this isn't their story. This is everyone's story.
No,
No,
sir.
it's not. One of the least universal
ma'am.
movies ever made. Okay.
Okay. Number 4 is an animated film that I've never seen. It's in its 5th week of release, and it eventually inches over the $100 million line. Made 300 worldwide. Kind of a bummer. I believe it's a DreamWorks animation joint. It's a real whatever.
Hey, I think if it's what I think it is, I think it's underrated.
Oh, okay.
Legend of the Guardians?
It's called Rise of the Guardians.
Well, okay.
Legend of the Guardians is
Owls of
the
Gahul.
owls. Yeah.
They're very interchangeable titles. I think the film's actually pretty well made. It was a bummer that it bombed because it's the best film DreamWorks has made in like 8 years.
Wait, really?
Yeah, it's kind of good. That film's very well directed.
Okay, whatever. Number 5, I don't care.
Rise of the Guardians. Jack Frost, Santa Claus, Easter Bunny.
Number 5 is a film we're probably going to talk about one day. A big historical drama, won an Oscar too.
Hotel Transylvania.
No, it's in its 7th week. It's grossed 116. It's going to finish with 182.
I knew what it was, and I was joking with Hotel Transylvania. Is of course Lincoln.
Lincoln, Big Link,
Big Link.
and yeah, you've also got The Guilt Trip in there, number 6,
Which is
first weekend.
not bad.
I've never seen. I do own because I took it at trivia
yeah.
one week.
Yeah. No, it's not bad. Barbara's legitimately great in that movie.
Skyfall, Monsters Inc. 3D re-release is in there.
Yeah, I saw that shit.
Life of Pi is in there.
Yeah.
Breaking Dawn Part 2.
I'll say this.
Number 11, preview for an upcoming episode, is Cirque du Soleil, Worlds Away.
Well, I was going to say this. If Blankies want to comb through this top 10, there are maybe 4 movies in that top 10 that we have plans on the books to cover through different miniseries. Is that correct?
Wait, what did you say? I didn't listen to it.
I'd say there are at least 3 movies in that top 10. I said 4, but I'm downgrading it to 3 now.
What was the 4th?
There are 3 movies in that top 10 that we plan on covering in the immediate future. I'd say in the next year or so.
Well, so you're arguing Hobbit, Lincoln,
Life of Pi.
Life of Pi. You're right. What was the 4th?
I didn't want to give spoilers. I wanted to, let them parse out
we
which
can
ones
cut
they
that
were.
out.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's not going to be Rise of the Guardians. They're not stupid.
We're going to do a Rise of the Guardians miniseries. I had to poop so badly. Thank you all for listening. Please rate, review, subscribe. Next week, we will be back with True Lies with Gerard Milligan.
That's right. which we previewed last week, and but it's going to happen next week.
We snuck in a little reach.
We just decided to reach for the sky, and
Yeah.
I think we did a great job.
I did too.
No burger reports. Let me really stretch this out.
I need to poop so badly.
I know. Okay.
Okay, and thank you for listening. Blah, 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 and as always,
Yeah, he's doing the gross thing again.
describe what it is.
He's jerking off and reaching or something.
I'm not jerking off. What am I doing?
Yeah.
And
Reaching.
hells yeah.
Thanks.
This has been a UCB comedy production. Check out our other shows on the UCB Comedy Podcast Network.